Well, Seattle has been conquered, or liberated, depending on how you look at it. So this is about 100 miles from my front door. Don't worry, I live in the middle of the woods. Seattle protesters storm City Hall after running cops out of precinct establishing a, quote, autonomous zone. As of 11:40 Eastern Time, protesters broke into Seattle City Hall Tuesday night to demand the resignation of Mayor Jenny Durkan. Now, for those of you that don't know, Jenny Durkan, she is currently serving as mayor of Seattle. She was formerly a prosecutor. She served as the United States Attorney for the Western District of Washington. She was appointed by Barack Obama from 2009 to 2014. And she is the city's second consecutive openly LGBT elected mayor. Not far left enough, though. The goalposts have moved right on past her. We'll get to that in a minute. Antifa and BLM have broken into Seattle's City Hall, despite their Mayor Jenny being beyond progressive. They are demanding she resign since she won't defund the police. This is the new normal in big cities in America. So, there's a couple videos. I'll link to this. You can watch them if you want. On Seattle has been conquered. What began as an attempt by Seattle police to ease tensions after a week of protests by retreating. Retreating, huh? Retreating from Capitol Hill neighborhoods. Did that settle them down? I wonder if taking the knee helps. I wonder if showing weakness and kindness and understanding. I wonder how that worked out. Retreating from the Capitol Hill neighborhood has resulted in the establishment of the so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, a 6-block section of town which Antifa and other activists have occupied, setting up barricades and claiming the area near the Seattle PD East Precinct as theirs. Andy Go says, Seattle Mayor Jenny is allowing a dangerous situation to fester. Antifa militants have taken over and created an autonomous zone in the city with their own rules. Police precinct abandoned. Antifa set up barricades to create a border. I thought they were for open borders. Why would they create a border? What purpose could a border have? And yeah, okay, you can look at that one for yourself. According to Capitol Hill Seattle blog, the pullback by the police and National Guard come after police used flashbang, pepper spray, and clouds of gas just after midnight, a standoff which followed a warning from Mayor Jenny Durkan that the city had specific information from the FBI about threats to the East precincts and buildings in Seattle. On Monday night, 7 hours after Police Chief Carmen Best held an impromptu press conference, Durkan tweeted that law enforcement would retreat in an effort to proactively de-escalate interactions between protesters and law enforcement outside the East Precinct. And here you can see her tweet. Taking the knee, showing weakness. How did that work? Well, now that Seattle has been conquered, they have set up their own borders, considering their open borders. You can see the Seattle People Department, East Precinct. Listen to peace. Listen to peace. Okay, so I want to show you the demands of the collective black voices at Free Capitol Hill to the government of Seattle, Washington. This is a truly mind-numbing, mind-blowing article. In credit to the people who freed Capitol Hill. Okay, this list of demands is neither brief nor simplistic. That's a credit to them. Okay. This is no simple request to end police brutality, which might have actually been fruitful. We demand that the city council and the mayor, whoever that may be, they don't even know who's in office. It's a LGBT Democrat. Implement these policy changes for the cultural and historic advancement of the city of Seattle and to ease the struggles of its people. You know, Seattle was a pretty darn nice place. I used to visit it, over 5 years ago now. This document is to represent the black voices who spoke in the victory at the top of 12th and Pine after 9 days of peaceful protests. Yeah, so you can watch some of the local news coverage of this and see how peaceful they were, while under constant nightly attack from the Seattle Police Department. Is that what you call law and order? These are words from that night, June 8th, 2020. Welcome to Free Capitol Hill. You know, I wouldn't go in there. It's probably going to end up like the Berlin Wall, where it is eventually going to be used to keep people in. See, in communist countries, you have to build walls to keep people in. In free market countries, you have to build walls to keep people out. So they've broken this down, but let's just read these. They speak for themselves. The Seattle Police Department, this is their demands, sorry. This is the demands from this collective black voices. This is the demands of the warlords that have taken over Capitol Hill in Seattle. The Seattle Police Department and attached court system are beyond reform. We do not request reform, we demand abolition. We demand the Seattle Council and Mayor defund and abolish the Seattle Police Department and attach criminal justice apparatus. This means 100% of funding, including existing pensions for Seattle police, at an equal level of priority. We also demand that the city disallow the operations of ICE in the city of Seattle. So no national borders, but you have borders around your liberated area. In the transitory period between now and the dismantlement of the Seattle Police Department, we demand that the use of armed force be banned entirely. No guns, no batons, no riots, no shields, no chemical weapons, especially against those exercising their First Amendment rights. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Interesting note, they say that they liberated Capitol Hill. Well, that means you're a conqueror. You now are in charge. You now are running it. You don't make demands from the people you just conquered. That's not how this works. If you won, supposedly, you set up your own government and you do this stuff yourself. Of course, they're not in charge. This is just a declaration of war. This is a reason to continue to increase tension, like they're just trying to get more weakness, because every act of weakness has been met with contrition. So 3, we demand an end to the school-to-prison pipeline and the abolition of youth jails. Get kids out of prison, get cops out of schools. We also demand the new youth prison be built in Seattle, currently be repurposed. 4, we demand that not the city government nor the state government, but the federal government launch a full-scale investigation into past and current abuses or cases of police brutality in Seattle, Washington as well. The federal government is run by Donald Trump. Don't know if you knew that. As well as the reopening of all closed cases reported to the Office of Police Accountability. In particular, we demand that cases particular to Seattle and Washington be reopened where no justice has been served, and then they name some particular cases. So they want to reopen closed cases and overturn them, basically. 5, we demand reparations for victims of police brutality in a form to be determined. We're going to see just how much we can get. Number 6, we demand that the city of Seattle make the names of officers involved in police brutality a matter of public record. Anonymity should not be even anonymity should not even be a privilege in public service. 7, we demand a retrial of all people in color. I don't know if that's a typo or a new phrase I haven't heard of. Of all people in color currently serving a prison sentence for violent crime by a jury of their peers in their community. So anyone of color, which I guess is anyone non-white in prison, gets a do-over by a jury, whatever a jury of their peers in their community means. I mean, I think we know. So basically freeing all prisoners, with the exception of the Caucasians. 8, we demand decriminalization of the acts of protest. Yeah, we think we know what those are. An amnesty for protesters. Amnesty for protesters. but specifically for those involved what has been termed the George Floyd Rebellion against the terrorist cell that previously occupied this area, known as the Seattle Police Department. That's right, the Seattle PD are terrorists. This includes the immediate release of all protesters currently being held. By the way, celebrities are paying for this. They are paying to get these protesters released. Okay. Let's see. Number 9 is we demand that the city of Seattle and the state government release any prisoner currently serving time for a marijuana-related offense and expunge the related conviction. I don't know if that would include someone that had marijuana and violence. Probably. Number 10, we demand the city of Seattle and state government release any prisoner currently serving time just for resisting arrest if there are no other related charges. 11, we demand that prisoners currently serving time be given full, unrestricted right to vote. Oh, so while they're still in jail, they have a right to vote. Okay. And breaking from federal law that prevents felons from being able to vote. Number 12, we demand an end to prosecutorial immunity for police officers in the time between now and the dissolution of the SPD and extant justice system. We demand the abolition of imprisonment. Generally speaking, we demand the end of imprisonment. Okay. But especially we demand the end of it for youth prisons and privately owned for-profit prisons. 14, we demand, in replacement of the current criminal justice system, the creation of a restorative, transformative accountability programs as replacement for imprisonment. Yeah, going easy on you has worked out great. 15, we demand autonomy be given to the people to create localized anti-crime systems, once known as police departments. 16, we demand the Seattle PD, between now and the time of its abolition in the near future, empty its lost and found and return property owned by the denizens of the city. So who gets all this stuff? 17, we demand justice for those who have been sexually harassed or abused by the Seattle PD. 18, we demand between now and the abolition of the SPD that every officer turn on their body cameras. Hey, no argument here. That has uncovered a lot of hate hoaxes. 19, we demand that the funding previously used for the Seattle Police Department be redirected into A, socialized health and medicine for the city of Seattle, B, free public housing because housing is a right, not a privilege, C, public education to decrease the average class size in city schools and increase teacher salary, hey, teachers, D, naturalization service for immigrants to the United States living here undocumented. We demand they be called undocumented because no person is illegal. And E, general community development, like parks. Oh, the ones where the drug addicts are filling them up with needle traps? Like those parks? Because that's worked good, too. So they have economic demands. We demand the de-gentrification of Seattle, starting with rent control. Yeah, that works good. 2, we demand the restoration of the city's funding for the arts and culture. We've seen a lot of culture here lately. 3, we demand free college. Oh, yeah, because those teachers are going to work for free, actually. Pretty sure people are going to get up and dedicate their life to something for the greater good. 4, we demand between now and the blah, 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 the PD, that they can't perform homeless sweeps. Okay, but they'll have homes because people are just going to get up and build homes for nothing, right? Okay. And 5, they want a decentralized election process. Oh, more demands. They demand that hospitals and care facilities employ black doctors and nurses specifically for black patients. So, a return to segregation. We demand the people of Seattle seek out and proudly support black-owned businesses. You've burned them all down. 3, we demand that the city create an entirely separate system staffed by mental health experts to respond to 911 calls. Okay, but people aren't going to work for zero money. They're not going to work for the greater good. I don't even know. It's insane. Like, it's a list of demands that's made not to be met. So, some more. We demand that the history of Black and Native Americans be given greater focus. Yeah. 2, we demand that thorough anti-bias training. I wonder if that's going to involve getting on my hands and knees and washing your feet. 3, we demand the city of Seattle remove any and all monuments dedicated to historical figures of the Confederacy whose treasonous attempts to build an America with slavery as a permanent fixture were an affront to the human race. Yeah, what about the statue of Lenin down there in Seattle? Don't you think the damage to this world done by communism, well, it killed a lot more people. We can start there. So they end, although we have liberated free Capitol Hill in the name of the people of Seattle. So keep in mind this is done in the name of the people. Very just. We must not forget that we stand on land already once stolen from the Duwamish people, the first people of Seattle. So if you don't know the way Seattle or Washington state politics breaks down, the King County, the county that is Seattle, is pretty much runs the state. It's the blue part, and there's some other blue counties, but a lot of Washington is red. And it's kind of, the blue has been bleeding out into other counties, and there's been some clever gerrymandering, which has changed the map too. But think about these poor people that are living in this city right now, because it doesn't take but 2 to 3 days for an urban area to start running out of food. And that's when you're going to start seeing desperation. Like you have these liberals who believe Stephen Colbert, who said, we'll just call 911 and the police will show up, never knowing that the police would be abolished. And so here we are, and you're seeing left-wing politics play out. Still think it's cool when you haven't eaten in 2 days, when you can't defend yourself, when you're just hiding, hoping that the mob passes you by. Think of these poor people, and honestly, I feel bad for them, but they have brought it on themselves. You've been voting for this, and you've been telling yourself the pretty lies that you needed to tell yourself to overlook all these things. And we've been talking a lot about the swing from the lower left to the upper right on the political compass here. And what my point is we're seeing anarcho-communalism right here. People are going to be begging for law and order. This blue chunk that is King County, there's a lot of people turning red right now, and they're turning red forever. They're trapped. There's nowhere to go. They're running out of food. There's no food coming. You can't live on platitudes. Oh, give peace a chance. Love one another. Come together. You're going to have to come up with a lot more than nice-sounding poetry in order to fill your stomach. There's things that are going to happen that would have been unimaginable even 1 year ago, and people are going to cheer for it. There's things that are going to happen that people are going to beg for something that at one time they would have called tyranny, they would have called fascism. And, well, those of you that seem to think that politics is just this philosophical game, we're seeing firsthand that it's not. Anarchy doesn't work. Socialism doesn't work. You can certainly go too far with law and order, but hey, that's what got us here. That's what got us with enough plentiful goods that we could have a civilization. And look at Zimbabwe. They got their reparations, and the people starved for 20 years. And they begged now the white farmers to come back and farm the land. I don't think I would. And if I was one of these business owners who just got their whole life's work trashed by the mob, I don't think I would go back to Seattle ever again.
A small business that got the windows smashed out of it.
What do you guys do here?
We hand make all of our own product upstairs. We're a local business. I mean, this is, What's funny is that my wife and I this morning were having a conversation about how horrible what happened was, and then we have to deal with this. It's.
I hear the emotion in your voice, man.
Well, this is 10 years of a lot of hard work, and yeah.
And here you are at 6 o'clock on a Saturday having to board it up, right?
Yeah, and we're tons of stuff. It's all handmade here. It's not like we're manufacturing stuff over in China. It's handmade upstairs. This is my dad helping me board up windows. You know, it's tough.
How did you find out about all this?
Actually, we were just having a family day, and my mom called and said, "Have you turned on the news?" And we've been watching it, and I was like, you know, we have to go down and find out what happened. I mean, keeping my fingers crossed that there would be nothing that happened, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
So you were saying you were talking about how it was terrible what happened to George Floyd, and now this is. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel? Has anything about your opinion changed, or I mean, just what's happened to you today with protests?
No. Well, I mean, what happened is still super sucky, super horrible. Like, I mean, I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I'm just like sick to my stomach. And it doesn't change how I feel about what happened. It's just, a jagged pill to swallow a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I'm sorry.